it's Morris back here. So today I think it's day 5 of Axie Infinity Origins Season 2, and let's see what the meta is like. And so, wow, on the top we have something new. Actually not that new, because I think it was about 2nd or 3rd last time, yesterday, and now the triple Pigeon post is on top. So also triple confused, and there's basically a lot of curse card going in. So we'll look into this one, shoes team, later on. But before that, let's just scroll through and see what else is up here. So, okay, so you can see, right, it's actually quite a lot of like METAT8 are really doing very well at the moment. Yeah, a lot, basically the top 5. Yeah, like they got 4 of them. And MVP also doing pretty well as well. Yeah, I think it's basically like MVP, METAT8 dominating at the moment. And then I guess Spam and Rice is holding the flag for the quest, and then I think Chuck Fresco as well for quest. So you can see all on top is pretty much like the big players with like the big guild kind of thing, and then YGG as well, obviously. And then you have to scroll down to get to players that might not be in the guilds. But still, yeah. So let's actually look at the Axies themselves. So still quite a lot of diversity. You can see the Winghorn. Yeah, corntail kind of thing. Basically there's like a feather corntail thing, and then there's the sustain, and there's the curse. So still quite diverse. And then there is the poison as well. So wow, I think of course like the top they have more, I would say, resources, and of course they can get the better of Axies in terms of the more perfect kind of build. And of course that can make a difference in terms of getting up here. But you can see actually the top 5 or at least yeah, they have 4 different kind of builds, right? So one is the curse, and one is like the 2 I would call aggro feather kind of thing, and then there's the sustain, and then there's the poison. So it kind of proves that it kind of is all pretty viable at this point. Yeah, still surprised that poison can get up here, but of course the mech actually add a lot of sustain, and of course the Gila can finish off opponent. So at this point, I think it's actually quite a good game, in the sense that sure, yes, you still need to have like perfect kind of build to get up here, but then at least like different strategies are viable. But of course the season is actually relatively short in the sense of the era. The era is quite short, so that just means that there's only 7 days to kind of figure out what's the top meta, and people are trying to get to the top. So if I can imagine, if it's like season 1 where there's like 2 months with the same meta or the same kind of game mode, then probably you'll still see only like 1 or 2 build on top when people kind of figure out the meta. But I don't think we have the time to do that, and that's why people can try different things and still works. But of course you can see that there's still quite a lot of common themes, especially, I mean, I face a lot on ladder. It's basically this kind, right? The corntail, there's just a lot of corntail with the feather. Those are probably the most aggro stuff. And then yeah, sometimes with Ronin as well, so Chuck Fresco using a Ronin. But it's very interesting to see like other kind of builds that say like it's not obvious what this does, right? Okay, a bit of sustain, yeah, maybe a bit of ramp, not too sure. Yeah, mostly sustain. Yeah, so there are quite a lot of builds. It's like like you don't really see it that like quickly what they actually do. Yeah, of course, like if you see this kind of thing, then it's kind of aggro feather thing, right? But yeah, there's this, I quite like that meta, so let's just quickly go through. Yeah, that's why like usually, right, I can just scroll through this pretty quickly, but now you can see that there are different type of strategy. You can see the triple hot bud, and the triple pigeon post. But one thing to note is that it's really, even though I said okay, a lot of things are viable, but you still have to have like very synergistic cards throughout your whole 3 axes, throughout your whole team, for it to work. Let's say like you can't just have like one hot bud and then 1 pigeon post kind of thing. Right? You have to have like a very synergistic team to work. Yeah, similarly like a tri-feather, right? Like you have to have at least probably 2 tri-feather, and then usually you run the corntail with like a innocent lamb kind of thing. So yeah, or well, this one is triple corntail, which is very interesting. I never thought about that. And using the summer axes as well, quite like this one actually, because Obviously, the summer Axies usually is not that so-called not that optimized, but still managing to use even two yeah, summer Axie, right, with multiple parts as well. So this one's a pretty good one. Okay, let's just look at other things as well. But yeah, I think it's quite a fun meta. You can see that the different things on top. Having said that, though, of course, not everyone is on top. Obviously, I haven't been on top. I've now been basically struggling at maybe about 1,000 kind of range. Not doing the best with Leafy because you don't really see Leafy here at all. So yeah, not really doing too well. But let's just look at the like what's the classes, and you can still see that top, like I'm around this range, right? And most people are still playing beast. So if you're playing at maybe about tiger or something, then yeah, most likely you'll still see beast. So aqua and bird as well. Yeah, bug. Not really many people playing reptile. Even poison, you don't actually play reptile. Interestingly, let's say let's go back up to the top team. Yeah, so you can see this one. Yeah, it's just not using reptile just because the runes are not good, right? So obviously you would want to get a met, and then so that you can survive for longer. And yeah, basically all these runes are survival rune, because for poison nowadays is you have to just be able to survive so that you don't get burst down too quickly by all these aggro stuff. And it's a very good tech, to be honest. This silk skin, I think, especially against the AoE kind of thing, and or multi-hit like this kind of aggro. Yeah, so let's see what else is out there. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. So okay, let's just go into today's team highlight. Today's team highlight, basically a cursed team, and we'll just go into the game and look at how it actually plays out. And yeah, let's just probably look at like one against those meta aggro kind of team, and let's see how this goes. Okay, let's pause it here. Oh, okay, against YGG. So yeah, I mean, on the top, wow, only get a challenger. Yeah, so people are getting a challenger and then dragon one as well. So that's where the top is at the moment. Let's just look at the Axies first. So confusion, swirl. So I think these four are the key cards really. And with the parasite to even like worsen the opponent's draw by discarding one of the cards. And you can play it over and over again as well, because there's no exile or anything or banish. So basically every time you draw this you can play it. And then of course the Pigeon pose. So the rest, right, these two cards, I think this is probably good against poison. Maybe need to tech a bit against poison because the game plan is a bit slow in a way, so I get why like you need like the one Silence Whispers to at least slow down the poison damage kind of thing. And then yeah, this one is interesting because it's not really an aggro team, but fitting this in maybe just to do some damage. Of course, just getting these 5 cards is already quite tough, so this one doesn't really matter too much perhaps. Let's just see what else. Okay, so the second one at the mid has confused as well, and then I think clamshell is actually quite important. Yeah, double clamshell just to like basically ramp over the opponent, so that means you get more energy faster compared to the opponent, so that's actually pretty important. Pigeon pose, so yeah, these two, and then a jinx as well, right, with the inkling, and then a bit of sustain with the steel energy, and yeah, you can target front or back. And then yes, I think the ramp is quite important for this kind of build as well. Just adds to it, right? It's just strong. And then same thing, right? All these except for I guess the back, you just want to have a serious so that maybe you can deal a bit more damage. But I think it's mostly about these 5 cards. Yeah, and let's just look at the opponent's team, which I think is now at the moment quite a typical aggro, right? So you can see these 3 S1 already have a lot of this kind of axes being bred, so I think that's why people are still using this, but still pretty strong. With the Grandmaster Fan giving the feather, Tri-Feather giving more feather, and then Earwing just deals a lot of damage. Eggshell used to be the taunt, which is pretty good, but now I guess like doesn't really do too much. Still like a multi-hit attack, so still not bad scaling with the feather. And then Kotaro, strong card, very strong card with the death mark. And this one is just zero cost 35 damage with this charm, so yeah, can't complain too much. So that's pretty good. And then in the mid you have so Corontail and Innocent Lamb is a must, and then there's a Confident as well, so I think it's pretty good. Even turn to Nerdy if it needs to, so that like if you really have a very bad draw you can, but usually for Innocent Lamb you probably want to use another Corontail. And then heal block to go against Sustain also, not too bad. I would say that's pretty good. And then the Winghorn is kind of like a finisher. I think Winghorn is actually very strong. That's why a lot of Axie are running Winghorn. And then, I forgot to mention the runes. Both of them are the Vault Builder. Basically, it kind of gives you the maybe 20-30 shield every turn, which is not bad. And finally, we have the back with the Arcane Protection, which is interesting because the buff is mostly just Feather, I would assume, but I don't know how it kind of stacks this because I don't know if there are any other buff that it will get, but still, I mean, 5% protection. Oh, and then I think Little Robin, I think is still a pretty kind of a must-have in a way for this kind of build if you want to get to the top. That's because this deals a lot of damage coupling with the AoEs. But note that so nobody's running like Little Owl kind of thing because it's a bit too slow. But Winghorn or double Winghorn, so that's why this team is actually pretty strong, and with quite a lot of sustain as well, with like the damage reduction, and then the passive shield kind of thing. So let's just see how this plays out. Okay, so try Feather to start, and then Square Teeth. Okay, so typical turn, and then you can see gaining a bit of the shield. Okay, so starting to put in the curse card already, and then so Pigeon Pose. I think this really hurts the opponent in that sense. So let's just see how this goes. So because usually you want to disrupt the opponent's draw. Oh, okay. So having the 2 cost card really helped out in this case, and has to play out the Pigeon Pose, otherwise it'll just get stuck. And then so lucky for the opponent that they actually draw into the 2 cost card, otherwise they couldn't play anything. And I assume play the Swirl, right? Oh no. Oh, okay, it's just to ramp. Okay, so that's the thing, right? I mean, I haven't played this team, so I wouldn't know what to play, but prioritizing on the ramp first, and then because the opponent still has a lot of cards anyway, so but I think for this team it's a bit rough as well. Lucky that they have a lot of managed to use up all the energy, but you can see the opponent actually has quite a lot of 0 cost cards, so coupling with all these, it's gonna be a bit like all these curse cards is gonna be a bit rough. I assume ramp. Okay, now going for a disruption instead. So that's the thing, I'm not too sure like the ramp versus the disruption. You have to really calculate how much energy fragment you have. Usually you want to get to 4. Okay, here is the Robin. Here's doing a lot of damage already at this point. Multi-hit just to add to this as well, but there's where you can see it kind of hurts because can't really use the Corontail, so it kind of wrecks the Corontail team because they don't really draw into those. Oh, so eggshell of the Robin I think is pretty strong because can't even get rid of the Robin because of the eggshell. Usually the AoE is used for getting rid of the Robin, but in this case couldn't really do it. And wow, okay, but you can see a lot of damage going to the back already. So there's still not just pure curse kind of thing. You can still see that it can still do a lot of damage with the Sirius and everything. So in terms of damage, actually the back is definitely gonna go down because of all the Pigeon Pose that Shu played. And still a lot of it's not just curse, right? It's that actually they have a lot of aggro going on, right? Instead of energy, instead of damage. So you can see ramp up and then just damage. Wow. I didn't expect that the Axies go down so quickly. It's just because I didn't expect the damage to go quite. Oh, okay. So this is the key turn, right? Basically, draw into all these confused. Can't really do anything, and it is pretty much GG's. Still very close though, to be honest. And opponents still have a full health Axie, but you can imagine, right? If the opponent can play a lot of cards just now, then I think this game could be a bit different. But it is really about this Yeah, double pigeon pose. That really hurts the opponent because now, sure, like they have 4 energy, but they're gonna draw into 2 blackmail. So that's just not gonna be easy for the opponent. Okay, so do get the wing horn. So yeah, I guess unfortunate that it draw into a curse card. If it draw into another useful card, maybe could have been good. Yeah, so yeah, the wing horn just not enough, I think, at this point. But maybe just try not to wake this one up, and maybe can still do something. Yeah, it's still a lot closer than I thought, to be honest, because like now the feather is ramping up, and yeah, this feather dagger is just doing so much damage. It's crazy. Okay, of course keeping this one. Yeah, just trying to heal, right? At this point, yeah, just no, not using this. Oh, because it doesn't really do much heal anyway. So still very close. I think this one, yeah, it's just happened that they have enough aggro to burst them down with the 4 energy. But with like 1 fewer energy, I think, yeah, the game will be very different. So wow, yeah, didn't go as close as I expect actually. Yeah, because I thought that shoe has been quite a big advantage, but maybe it's just the Axie numbers like 3 against 1 for quite a while. But yeah, but ultimately it is about, you know, just like maybe surviving that 1 extra attack, then the game will be very different. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay. Oh, this one's an interesting one. So it's more, yeah, I won't say, oh wow. I was gonna look at this one, but let me just quickly look at first. I'm looking at the win streak. I'm like, wow. Like, I think at the top you have to have this kind of thing. Okay, so this one I assume goes kind of pretty similar. So that's why I just want to look at this one. Against the triple hotbar and then see how this one goes. And I think because the 2 teams in a way is pretty similar, but not, I guess not, a bit different also in a way. So let's just see how this one actually plays out. Okay, let's pause it here. Again, I actually haven't talked about the runes because, okay, this one is the passive shield one, and then actually getting the bubble. So that's where I guess the damage actually comes in quite a lot as well with the bubble. Let me just quickly look at the opponent's team, and it is Hotbot. Sakura is interesting for this one. Gecko for the cleanse, and then yep, Tiny Turtle just to even disrupt the opponent even more. Scry also very strong, I would say, but can only do it once because of the banish, so that's a bit of yeah, downside. And then the poison. Yeah, I'm not sure why the poison is there, to be honest, but I guess it can't really get the perfect Axie every time. Jinx, okay. Oh yes, I think that's the tag, right? It's the Lotus, I think. This one tags against curse card basically. So in the, I won't say this is a mirror, but you can see, right? This could be very helpful against the opponent's team or against Shu's team, and then. Yeah, it's more have sustain kind of thing. I love cleanse, but in this case that doesn't matter. I think the cleanser, and then the sleep. Not much here really, just the burn, and yeah, interesting to see how this team actually functions as well. So let's just play. Okay, so getting the ramp, yep, and the bubbles as well. Actually, I think these bubbles like adds up in terms of the damage buff. So that's why, yeah, sometimes you don't factor that in, and it actually can be quite significant over time with all these bubbles. So I think, yeah, that's kind of like a maybe small trick. Okay, so prioritizing on the hotbar, just rotating through the deck. I think, yeah, I think the clear is actually quite useful sometimes. Like you just want to draw, rotate your deck faster in a way. Okay, so I think both players is going through the game plan with the pigeon pose, but then at the early game is not too useful. You will draw into cards that you can use. Okay, so Hotbot just gonna, and then Jinx as well. So a lot of curse card into Shu's deck, and maybe this is the one of the weakness. Like if you play against, like, I won't say mirror, but yeah, like curse. Let's just see. Okay, confused. And then maybe go for the ramp. I don't know. Yeah, definitely not Silence Whisper though. Probably Inkling, yep, just to put the Jinx in as well. And actually damage adds up, and the bubble actually popped as well. Yeah, so the bubble actually adds to the damage. So it's quite an aggro, I would say. The curse aggro build as opposed to, I guess, opponent's team, which is more of a sustain curse as opposed to, I guess, aggro curse. Yeah, okay, so you can see quite aggro, right? Choose to just play all the attack cards with the curse putting in. Yeah, Pigeon Post, and then okay, go for the ramp. So that next turn can go to 4 energy already. So in a way, calculated move definitely. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, this is basically whenever you see hotbar, you play it. But I think the back is gonna go down. Oh, okay, with the scrap. Oh, that is actually okay. Yeah, with the shield, they won't go down then. Yes. Okay, so yeah, I forgot it's a sustain build, so I think can definitely survive. So okay, so probably double Pigeon Post, I would assume. Yeah, just to hurt the draws a bit, but you can see sustain really surviving, because if imagine if it's not a sustain kind of curse, it's just like an aggro kind of build, then I think it's like the back Axie is gonna be down already. Yeah, so probably shield. Oh, heal, shield, right? Even though like wasting 1 energy, so that's actually pretty good for Shu at this point, because opponent wasted 1 energy, and I think have to play out the shield, right? Just so that hopefully the back will survive. But let's just see how the draw goes now, because 21 cards, a lot of curse card in the deck. Okay, alright, so wasting 1 energy. So this is the problem with like this ramp, because the ramp is not doing anything at this point. That's because you have so much curse card and you only draw 5 and you have 4 energy, and you don't have really 2 energy cards in this build. So that's kind of like the weakness in a way of Shu's team. Okay, finally playing a Sakura, more hot butt, and the opponent also get the 4 energy. Go for the so that's the thing, right? Yes, I think the Lotus actually makes a huge difference, because it can remove the opponents can remove the curse card, whereas Shu cannot, right? You can see and again another tough turn. But still very close, and I feel like opponent's still not in a good shape, but yes, the burn is finally doing some damage. Okay, so you can see no more curse card, or rather like not many curse cards. Double top, very lucky to not hit the front as well. And yeah, maybe that kind of seals up the deal. If it hits the front, maybe it's a different story. Okay, let's just see what the opponent will draw. But having said that though, there's not that many curse cards in the... Okay, there's still 3. Okay, so the sleep actually hurts quite a bit. I think might have made a difference, because otherwise it would have been another attack. And the burn is starting to stack up, and I think this is kind of the turning point, right? Because now yeah, the Axie is really quite equal in terms of the HP, and I think the opponent is now basically turning a corner and really gaining an advantage, especially that putting so many curse cards into the deck. And yeah, I think the main difference is that the opponent has way of getting rid of the curse card, whereas Shu doesn't in this particular matchup. So I think it's not easy. Of course, you can't beat every single team, and this is a bad matchup, I guess, for Shu. But for ladder play, I mean, as long as you win majority of your games, then that's kind of like how you want to climb your ladder. Yeah, go for a sleep as well. Yeah, I think, and then the sword finishing off. I think that's pretty much GG. There's probably no way back at this point. Opponent is still very healthy, and then Shu has basically nothing to do in a way. Yep. So choosing to even just play the card as opposed to keeping it. I'm not too sure if that's the right play, but regardless, doesn't matter. It seems like it's GG. It might take a while, but yeah, I don't think there's any way in which the opponent Shu can come back from this. Yeah, still a lot of shield, and then opponent doesn't have any curse card, so that's why it's a bad matchup, I must say. Yep, the curse just kills it, and that's it. So now you can see that at least like if you're really seeing a lot of curse, maybe you want to attack a like Lotus so that you can remove the curse, but of course in other matchup it might not be as useful. Okay. Okay, so this is it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.